sorry. I had a little accident.
Well,
here we are.
So, tell me, Mr. Anderson, what genre of film interests you the most here in this deal?
Well, tell me this first. What lies in this colossal inventory that I have constantly heard so much about from other buyers?
A lot. Let me please show you our selection. Here we have our action genre. Harrison Ford in Air Force One. Steven Seagal in Our Out for Justice. And Dolph Lundgren in Army of One. Very strange action film. Next, our Western genre on VHS, good old VHS, Unforgiven starring Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and Richard Harris. The only Western we have left in this store. Next we have our Mr. Quentin Tarantino section. We have Reservoir Dogs on VHS, good old Jackie Brown on DVD, and good old Pulp Fiction on good old VHS. We have our Martin Scorsese collection. Not our full collection, but we have our Goodfellas. We have our Raging Bull. We have our Who's That Knocking on My Door? Yes. Next, we have our cool section, Fargo. The rest of the cool movies were bought out by other buyers. Next, a very strange and underrated science fiction film is THX 1138, the very first film George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, ever made. Next, we have an extremely underrated quickie of Bela Lugosi, horror icon. This is Bowery at Midnight, a low-budget B film, but quite worth the watch. And next, we have Vincent Price in The Tingler, which is a half horror film and half self-aware horror film. Very, very interesting, very different from others. Then we have our Christmas section, good old Santa Claus and the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, as you can see. And we have our blank VHS tape. I do not know why this is empty. I do not know why. Then we have our Christian section. We have Left Behind 2, Tribulation Force. We do not have the first one. It was bought out by Mr. Davison. We have The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson. Very good film. And then we have good old Apocalypse Now and Platoon, Leader, both Vietnam films. However, this one is a very, very underrated film. Over here, if you're interested, we have a book based on Vietnam, but right now I'm reading that, so you cannot purchase it. What do you think about that, Mr.?
I think it's a very wide range of selection.
So, well, what has interested you here so far? What films have interested you here so far?
Well, Platoon Leader and Apocalypse Now, some very good movies. Fargo seems a very other interesting movie. And also, this movie over here, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Christmas classic series. It sounds very classical.
It is very classic.
And apparently this guy's a big beard.
A very big beard.
Do you mind if I play a tune? So like to compensate for this atmosphere around the table.
Yes, you may, please. Well, Mr. Anderson, as you know, I have brought you here to acquisite one of these rare films on these rare flats. However, there is a link to this acquisition. The process of you acquiring one of these films are essential to the anomaly of cinema, ergo vis-a-vis the extinction of all formats.
All formats?
All but Blu-ray, of course.
Ergo, the conclusion leads to the maximum proportion of our non-completed watches of these entertainment devices, which can make thy dissatisfied results of this converse.
Don't be so rude, Mr. Anderson. You are bizarre.
Indeed, Mr. Rosenberg. Indeed. You know, this Bill battle reminds me of The Matrix Reloaded.
Ah, yes. Pointless plots that have no adequate reason to them.
Indeed, Mr. Rosenberg. Now, about choosing this adequate, entertaining device, I think I've made my choice.
Keep in mind that one of these movies will save the existence of these formats.
I choose Pulp Fiction.
You have chosen unwisely.
But you didn't let me finish, Mr. Rosenberg. I was going to say I choose Pulp Fiction to not choose Pulp Fiction as one of mine.
Then what is the one that you choose that is right?
I choose Goodfellas.
No. This particular film has fighting of one force against another force.
Yes, I do love the romantics. Unforgiven.
This film has very many famous actors, very many. One in particular has relatives. One of these particular relatives you may know recently who has gone on rampages and all sorts of just mischief. I mean, at this point, you might as well do something very random and stupid and completely pointless so that way you can win this and completely end this conversation.
Duh. Winning?
Yes, Charlie Sheen. Now, who is famous and relatively close to Charlie Sheen?
Martin Sheen.
Now, what famous film did he star in that involved a force fighting another force externally and internally and morally?
Apocalypse Now.
What else is relatively close and relatively accurate in portraying the Vietnam War?
Platoon Leader.
Yes. Good job, my son. You will now purchase this VHS formatted film, and we will distribute it to Hollywood and save the history of these formats. Oh, they're outside. The Blu-Ray military special ops.
What?
Ergo, Prince of